Scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Those poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize. Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Whoa.
Fuck yeah.
It's podcasting time.
It's podcasting time.
Hey, I'm podcasting here.
Hey, I'm trying to record.
Hey, I'm recording here.
Yeah.
I feel like if I lived in like a Philadelphia, Chicago, where else is that accent from? New York
Yeah.
type neighborhood, and my neighbors were like yelling, and I'm like was like needing them to be quiet because I was trying to record my podcast. I would open my window and be like, "Hey, I'm podcasting here."
Hey. Yeah. No, I too would do that. Often, might I add.
Yeah.
I would often do that.
Probably every time I was podcasting.
Yeah, no. Just for the love of the sport of yelling in a Boston accent.
Yeah, exactly.
Truly.
It feels good.
Yeah, it does feel good.
Like I want to embody Mark Wahlberg, you know?
Yeah. I want to be walking on a New York street and have someone almost murder me with their car.
Yes.
And then yell at them, "Hey, I'm walking
Hey, I'm
here."
walking here.
Just because I think it would do my soul good.
I think
You
it
know?
would. I think it would like fix me.
Yeah, it would. It would.
And make me feel, yeah, like this is who I'm meant to be.
I would be cured. I would be spiritually ascended even of
Yeah.
sorts. Yeah.
I think I've said it once and I'll say it again. I do feel the need to go to the East Coast, particularly Boston, to get like bullied
Yeah.
by Bostonites.
Absolutely.
Because I just think that it would be a really special, specific type of bullying that like I would just be like really put in my place in the right kind of way, you know?
It would elevate you, yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, what, you think it's fucking St. Patrick's Day with your green fucking hair?
Like how you thought about what they would call you.
That's exactly. Well, you think you're a fucking leprechaun?
Oh, that's good. That's good. On this week's episode of Sexism is Bad for me also sometimes.
Right.
Maybe. I feel as though it sucks that nobody taught me growing up how to use an iron.
Oh.
And because that's such an essential, like, I have a lot of dress pants and I like it when they have the little crease in the front.
Yeah, it looks really
nice. It looks cool. And I want to do that, but I don't know how to fucking iron.
Right.
Nor do I own an iron.
No.
And I would like to have learned, but no one ever taught me because they were like,
you're a boy.
You're a boy. Go play with some dirt, you know?
Right.
And I just wish that they had because
Go
it would be really nice to know how to iron.
I don't really know how to iron either.
Yeah. I guess for what it's worth, there are a lot of women who also don't know how to iron,
Yeah.
but like...
I do know how to steam, though. I'm great with a steamer.
What's the difference?
A steamer has an iron, like the plate gets hot.
Okay.
So you're like rubbing that on the clothes. The steamer just has like, because steam can come out of an iron.
Yeah.
But the steamer just has steam. So you're kind of like floating it over the garment as the garment is like hung up usually.
I see.
Yeah. I used to work at a local clothing store. Shout out Pibbs Exchange.
Yeah.
And I had to steam a lot of things there.
That makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. I feel as though that should be something that they tell you more about.
Yeah, I feel like, they really should, like, home ec should be a required class.
Yeah.
I don't know if at least I don't think it is. When I was in, like, junior high, I did a home ec class, and I want to say it was an elective, I think.
Yeah, I remember taking like cooking, and they had like kind of a career, because they had like that one class when I was in junior high that was like career technology or whatever. So like one quarter you would do like computer stuff, and then another one you would do like home ec, and then one was a secret third thing. I don't know, but like, yeah, I feel like when I did like the home ec portion of it, they taught us like I remember we did a little bit of sewing, but like they didn't teach us like how to iron clothes or like, I mean, I don't know. I think cooking was an elective. It wasn't something that you like actually had to like learn how to do. And I feel like those are like essential skills that you should learn.
Yeah, I agree. I think like everybody should know how to use like an oven, a washing machine, an iron. You should know how to do like a little bit of sewing, like nothing crazy. Like some basic hand sewing, like, oh, fuck, my button fell off.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like I have a little hole and I need to fix that little hole in my pants.
Yeah, you would think, right? Because I just feel like there's so many, and I just hear stories a lot of like women who are like, oh my God, my husband is literally fucking useless.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can't do anything.
And also, I think on that same note, that like home ec should include like how to change a tire.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Sure.
Because like I mean, I do now know how to change a tire, but back in the day when I was younger, I like had a flat tire or something and I had to call AAA to come and fix my flat tire for me because I didn't know how to myself.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know this shit.
Because I'm a girl and nobody ever told me.
It's true.
Or
how
like
to,
I should know how to change my oil.
Yeah.
Yeah, or use a lawnmower and like not be afraid of it.
Yeah.
That I'm going to hurt myself.
Those are all good things to do, to know. I don't
How
know.
to file my taxes.
Yeah, that's
How to mail things.
Yeah. Even like, I don't even think that we learned how to write checks in school. At least like not when I was like a teenager.
Yeah. I don't remember if I did it either. I think maybe when I was like in elementary school, we had a thing about writing checks, or maybe like early junior high, but checks were kind of obsolete at that point anyway.
Same, yeah. Like it wasn't really in the check. I do remember I used to, one of my bill, I think it was like my rent or something, I had to actually write checks for. Weirdly enough, when I like first moved out, like the place didn't accept not checks.
Right.
And that was like the only time. And every time I did it, I'd have to look up how to write a check. Because like, again, I was like, I don't fucking do this enough like to have it memorized.
Yeah.
Like,
to this day, I still don't know how to mail things sometimes. For example, and I hope that this doesn't make me sound stupid, everyone, but like I never really know how many stamps need to be there.
Yeah.
So I did actually go when I've been mailing my my prisoner back and forth, and when I went into the post office, because I had gone into the post office like the last 2 times, and then that like second or third time I went in, I was just like went up to the front desk person and I was like, hey, I probably don't need to be coming in here every like month or so to like hand you a letter to mail. Like I my letters on my own. How many, like this was a dumb question probably, but like how many stamps do I need to be putting on a letter?
Yeah.
And she was like, it's not stupid, and just one. And I was like, thank you. And then I bought a little thing of stamps so I can do it on my own now. But like I don't know.
Truly.
Or I feel like it's very confusing to know what kind of box or bubble mailer things need to be in. I'm just never quite sure about that. Anyway.
Yeah, again, it's one of those things that's like you don't, it's like I do it so infrequently that it's like it's never been like practically an issue, you know?
Right.
But again, yeah, it would be nice to know. Like,
yeah, because I feel like, I mean, yeah, not that I'm like mailing big packages that often, but here and there, you know,
truly,
I need to do that. And it would be nice to know off the top of my head.
I would have to agree.
So.
Oh, this is remarks, by the way.
Oh, fuck, right.
We're a podcast.
We are a podcast. That's Taylor.
I'm Taylor. CEO, aspiring motivational speaker.
Ooh.
And this is Musk, the podcast where we talk about how we love capitalism.
Oh, God. Musk.
Oh, God.
This is, we are a...
Pop filter issues over here.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, no, we're good. Okay.
Yeah, we're like a right wing.
Yep.
You know, tech adjacent. We're sponsored by crypto. We're sponsored by Zyn.
We are. I would take that sponsorship in a heartbeat.
I would too.
You're going to send me Zins to promote? Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. I
if
mean,
you-
I promote Zins on my own. I'm just like,
You're like going around the
Yeah.
town. Have you guys heard about Zin?
have you this shit?
Awesome.
It's so rad. It truly has been really nice, actually, and I'm actually in support of Zins because vaping is not great for you.
No.
At least in the amounts that I was vaping, and obviously
Right.
we Ben knew that cigarettes aren't good for you.
They are not.
Yeah, bold take. I'm taking a brave stance on the podcast and saying
Say it.
cigarettes not good for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's I feel like nobody's ever really come out and said that
Yeah, I
so
know.
boldly before. And you know what? That's risky, and we might get a lot of blowback, but it had to be said.
I think it did. I
It
think
had
it
to be
did.
said.
And I'm glad that you heard it here first, folks, from
Yeah.
me, from your trusted source.
Exactly. We would never lie to you. We would never
Absolutely not.
pretend like we're the first ones to blow the cover on this story.
Yeah. Truly. But sorry, I interrupted your Phoebe.
Listen, it's fine. My name is Phoebe, also. Model, actress, singer,
Yes.
aspiring DJ, 365 potty girl.
So Julia, I
I'm
believe,
So
is on your official resume, right?
Yes,
Is-
yes. So Julia is at the top.
Special skills.
Special skills,
So
so Julia. Special skills, drugs.
So many drugs.
Doing them
The amount of drug I can ingest at one time
is
is so crazy.
monumental.
What are we talking about today? What are we vibing with?
What are we all vibing with, bros?
Yeah.
It's gonna be like a
Brother?
really fun, uplifting, like easygoing episode. You're gonna feel, I think, good and like rejuvenated and okay after this one.
Yes, always.
We're talking about Nazis.
Oh, I mean, I do love talking about Nazis, to be honest.
I do too.
It's arguably, I want to say, one of the things that brought Phoebe and I together.
It's true. It literally,
Yeah.
that was one of the first conversations that we had. Was we were like, don't you feel like people try to pretend that Hitler was a communist?
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, God damn it, yes.
They lied to us. Yeah.
Which literally in my research, there was like this thing about how, they changed the name to like the German Socialists Workers Party or whatever. And they literally are not socialists at all,
No.
not even in the slightest, but they used the word socialist because they were like, oh, it will appeal to people like on the left.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. They literally pulled a fast one
Yeah.
on everybody.
Yep.
It's insane.
It was just a straight up lie.
Anyway, well, jumping into it, as I'm
into
sure y'all are aware, if you're listening to this podcast, America is kind of fucked up currently. It's kind of bad.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Actually, everything's fine. We've done nothing to worry about. But we
We're
are
all gonna be
seeing
okay.
everything's going to be fine. We are seeing a concerning number of fascist, adjacent, and sometimes just blatantly fascist moves
Yeah.
by our current government, spearheaded by our president-elect, Donald Trump. I don't know if I used that correctly. If you're supposed to say president-elect when he's not in office, like before, like when he's elected but not in office.
I think that's right. And then now
But-
he just is actually
Yeah.
fully president.
But sounded like smarter to say that.
It
so I
sounded
just-
really official.
Yeah, I like sprinkled it in there.
I
you
like
know?
it.
President-elect. Yeah.
You're like, whoa, wait.
whoa. Do they know what they're
They
talking
like
about?
know stuff
Whoa.
on this show.
Phoebe and I thought that now would be a good time to remember the first phase of fascist dictators, like new wave. Since we got new wave, neo-fascism coming in.
Yeah.
The current joy of fascism.
Which is like so annoying and embarrassing. Which like I guess maybe it felt like that back then. I don't know, but it's like Hitler is president, but also like now we have to deal with like meme shitcoin scams that the president is doing.
Yeah, it's not even like the poise of like the Nazis. It's just
Right. It's like so fucking lame
Yeah.
at the same time.
Although they were pretty lame for sure, but
Yeah,
like
that's true.
Yeah, they were lame in like a different way. I don't know.
It's just like it's so irritating that, like I was telling you earlier about the daylight savings thing.
Yeah.
So I'll quickly.
No, please.
I was talking to Taylor about Trump was like gave some talk about how he's like anti, the daylight savings switch back and forth, which I agree with. I think we should always be saving daylight or whatever phase we're in now.
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing? Is daylight savings?
Yes. Yeah.
That's the thing. I've been doing it all my life and I don't even fucking know because it's so stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he was like saying about that, but he was saying that like is on her deathbed and then you lose an hour, an hour of your grandma's life is taken away, so she would die sooner, which is not how time works.
Yeah, it's simply not correct.
That's not it. There's not like magically an hour like sucked away from the world that doesn't exist. I don't know if that's what he thought this entire time is happening, that like somehow like magically, because the United States government puts daylight savings, that like they magically time warp us an hour later. I don't know. Anyway,
I'd like to
all
think...
this to say that like this is such an embarrassing type of fascism,
I'd like to think that Donald Trump thinks that like he's got the like God's plan mind, and he's like, God
right.
knows the exact minute that someone's gonna die. And,
yes.
So like they're predestined. But like if they're gonna die at like 1:52, but it's daylight savings, and then you just like your grandma just like poofs out of out of existence.
Gone.
Yeah, they're like. Yeah, you like wait. You're like walking. You like leave the room and walk back in, and someone's like, "Oh yeah, we have her buried already. Like, where were you?" And it's like, "No, I missed it,
Grandma."
Grandma. Oh God. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah. So we got neo-fascism going on, and I thought that we should go through, the greatest hits of, the fascist OG Hitler himself. The name that I'd say is synonymous with hate and cruelty and state-sanctioned genocide, Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be talking about the Night of Long Knives.
Woof.
In addition to being yet another sick fucking name for a terrible thing.
I know.
Every time, dude, they name bad stuff the coolest fucking
names. They really do,
dude.
every single time.
Night of Long Knives, sick.
Operation Desert Storm.
So tight, dude.
Yeah.
Or what's that one, the weird, it's like MK Ultra adjacent. It's like Operation Midnight Climax or whatever.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, dude.
It's like, fuck, that sounds so
cool.
tight.
I wish I could use that.
Right, but it's like actually for the evilest thing ever.
Yeah, you're like, oh,
fuck,
actually, this is awful. Yeah. Excuse me. But it is also the story of how the Nazis purged any rivals, as well as began somewhat of a moral crusade. But as any good story, let's start back at the beginning. World War I, little dub uno, as Robert Evans would say, ended on November 11th, 1918, and a young veteran Hitler joined the German Workers' Party, the party that he would seize control of and slowly turn into the National Socialist Party, kind of as Phoebe was saying. In 1923, Hitler did a little dabbling in coup d'etats and tried to organize what is known as the Beer Hall Push.
Yes, I was reading about this too.
As a way to forcefully take power. Unfortunately, Hitler learned the hard lesson that many of us have in the past, that the government typically has more guns than your revolution.
Yeah.
And the failed attempt to take power left our goofy mustached monster in prison with nothing but time on his hands. And what better time to write his bestseller, Mein Kampf? Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty rad. After his release in 1924, he began to lay the foundations of his rise to power, but legally this time. This was colloquially known as the path of legality. That was kind of like what they would all say, I guess, is like, we're taking the path of legality this time. Like, we're not gonna fucking do a coup. Like, we have to like weasel our way in.
Right.
Which unfortunately, again, seems like the right in our country took a little note from that, because there was like was it 2016, the Charlottesville like fucking far right, Charlottesville, North Carolina. I want to say it was in 2016. And like they've tried to like do the whole, and even the January 6th, like storming the Capitol, they've tried to do the whole like revolution thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like they are now realizing, no, we can just have Donald Trump seize power, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, we can just like have this guy do it for us.
Yeah. The German Workers' Party morphed into the Nazi Party, and Hitler began to spice up his hatred stew by adding a little violence to the mix, specifically creating the, and I'm certainly going to butcher all of these German names, the Sturmbettelung, or the SA for short. These were also known as the Brown Shirts and acted as a paramilitary group having street brawls with the leftist/liberal alliance called the Rotfront. In May of 1928, there was an election for the Reichstag, or the Parliament of Germany, and the Nazi Party only won about 12 seats, which seems like a lot, but is probably not enough to make a significant impact at the time, and would seem small in comparison to what was to come, unfortunately. The German referendum of 1929 gave the Nazi Party more recognition and credibility. This legitimized the party in the eyes of the government because centrists, as we know, always have to be fair and balanced and see both sides of an argument.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Even if the argument leads to the mass extinction of a race.
Yeah.
And that's on centrists for you, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
And, oh, man, it's so frustrating.
It makes me feel so crazy.
It makes me feel crazy because there's so many posts I see of people being like, I'm not going to hate you because of your political beliefs. If you're on the right, you're going to be my friend. And if you're on the left, you're going to be my friend. Yada, 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 and this and that. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Exactly.
My friends on the left want to feed people.
Yep. People
on the right want to genocide an entire race of people.
Exactly. I was watching this. Maddie and I are really into dating reality TV shows, so we have been watching Love is Blind.
Classic.
It's great, by the way, if you want some slop to watch with people. But this season, like, so many of the dudes were like very conservative, right wing. And the one dude they were talking about it, we were just watching the reunion and they were like talking about it. And he's like, well, I just like don't understand like why people can't just like get along, blah, blah, blah. Like I have friends that are from all different kinds of political blah, blah. And the woman who like was supposed to get married to him and then didn't, she was like, okay, yeah, but like I'm talking about like women having the right to choose. I'm talking about like gay people being able to like exist. This isn't like really even about like political, I mean obviously those things have become political points, but like she's like, this is not about like agreeing or disagreeing about like
foreign policy
or about like I don't know fucking what you think like the property taxes should be. This is about like somebody's rights as a human being. So like no, I don't really think we can just get along if you don't agree with me on these things.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy, and I can't even imagine being on Love is Blind and getting paired with a conservative person.
God.
I mean, I don't like, I don't know that they would want me on Love is Blind, but like, I cannot. It's very funny. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, the party began to expand and hold rallies in more rural areas rather than the urban city centers to garner more support from a demographic that it appealed to. Good thing, again, this has never happened since, and certainly isn't a large reason why we are in the situation we're in now. Oh. That's really cool. That we've learned our lesson from history.
Right, and we don't like take advantage of people in rural areas anymore.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't like fed them mindless propaganda
Right.
for a century
Exactly.
to brainwash them. Yeah, for sure. In the September of 1930 election, the Nazi Party won 107 seats and became the second largest party in the country.
Yikes.
The German people were suffering due to the punishments and repercussions of World War I and began to vote radical, being tired of the current political system. And this meant like radical on all sides. There was a lot of communists, a lot of Nazis. The moderate and communist parties failed to stop the rise of Nazi support, mainly due to, well, in the case of the communists, mainly due to Stalin's hatred for social democrats, which, like, I understand. You know, like, the liberals, like, you want to, like, radicalize the liberals
Right.
to the left, but, like, it seemed like a very poorly timed.
Yeah.
But that was kind of like coming off the coattails, and this is just like what I've read of the Bolsheviks, like coming off the coattails of Lenin, who was like overthrew the, like, he wasn't really like worried about like trying to unify people to fight against the royalty, like the czar, you know?
Exactly.
And so it's like, yeah, it made sense to be like, no, we need to like be radical when Lenin was writing about it. But then I feel like Stalin took that and was like, we need to continue to, you know, move people to the left, which, like, yeah, it's true, but like you also need to like fight against the fascist takeover.
Right. Like, take what you can get for now.
Yeah, no.
And then, I mean, you and I have this conversation all the time, you know,
Yeah.
where it's like, it's okay. Like, we will just, like, I'll get along with who I can get along with in terms of, you know, who's like close enough to my political affiliation. Like, do I like Democrats? Absolutely not. But am I going to take those Democrats in with open arms and be like, all right, guys,
Now's the time.
let's get together. And yeah, of course. And then maybe
Yes.
down the line, I can be like, okay, let's sit down now and talk about why being a Democrat is stupid.
Actually, you're wrong and dumb and a baby.
Thanks for all of the help. Let's learn a couple things.
Let's learn ya. Yeah, no, for sure. And it's, you know, one of those things that's like when rights are being stripped away, it feels like a less important thing to be worrying about, I suppose. I don't know. But anyway, communists didn't love the Nazis, but were getting direct orders from Moscow to fight harder against the liberals, and this pushed the moderate German voters directly into Hitler's sickly, loving arms, because that man always looked like he was on the brink of death.
Yeah,
He did
really,
not look
though.
healthy at all.
No, he looks like he had a real bad cold all the time.
All the time, yeah. Like when someone critiqued his paintings and he never recovered. He never got over it, dude.
Right.
He's permanently like sleep deprived. The other parties available were not organized enough to fight back either, and the German right wing, under the pressure of losing votes and support, slowly just kind of had to accept the new status quo and accept melding into the Nazi party.
Right.
This, of course, shifted the entire party more to the right. Once again, very happy that this has never happened since. We aren't seeing this happen as we speak.
No.
You know, remember, side note that's completely unrelated. Remember back in 2015 when even Republicans were like, Donald Trump is crazy and bad?
Yeah.
And now that just doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah. Weird.
Weird, huh?
Strange.
Yeah. Very strange. Very, very, very fun and cool.
Yeah.
In January specifically of 1933, conservative President Hindenburg, no relation with the Zeppelin, appointed Hitler as Chancellor of Germany, and by mid-1933, Hitler had already disposed of many of the political rivals in the Reichstag. I presume the SA probably did murder a few of them, but at this point, the Nazis were still in their hey, we just want to speak our minds era.
Right.
And weren't necessarily trying to like kill all their rivals, just kind of dethrone them from the government. And you know, who won't try to dethrone political rivals from the, you know, what's Mein Kampf?
Oh my God.
is not getting this break. I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me.
That was so fucking...
Thank you.
Taylor.
It's not getting to go on a little break and rock a piss.
Absolutely.
Break. We back.
We're here.
We're so back.
Oh, wow.
Feels good.
It does.
To be back.
It does feel good to be back. I
But-
am not as happy to be back in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did get to go to Cancun and Isla Mujeres, which was like really fantastic. And it was so warm and it was so beautiful and it was so not America.
Mm-hmm. So
Really
true.
liked that a lot.
That does sound truly lovely.
It was really nice.
And just Mai Tais on the beach, brother.
Holy fuck. So many of them.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine.
Here's the new drink of the century, everyone. By the way,
okay.
It's called a turbo.
Okay.
It's a pina colada with a dark rum float on top.
Wow.
It is so delicious.
A turbo, huh?
Yes, that's what these people from Austin, Texas, were calling them.
Hell yeah, that sounds delicious.
It's so delicious. It's
Good.
so good. That's the drink of the future.
Yeah. And honestly, I see a dude from Austin, Texas. I'm gonna trust. I'm gonna trust what he's telling me to drink.
I trust your taste in booze.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's like the one thing they got going on in Texas.
Right.
Like the,
Yeah.
The one thing they got going for them is they can drink. So
Yeah, big time.
I bet that's probably delicious.
It's really, really good.
Yeah.
You know what else is so good?
Yes.
Miami Vice.
Is that a drink?
Yes. It's a pina colada and a strawberry daiquiri mixed together.
Shit, yeah, that sounds
Yeah, it
delicious
fucks
as well.
hard.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Pineapple, coconut, and fucking
Strawberry?
Strawberry, dude.
Yeah.
Those are like my favorite things.
It's delicious.
Yeah, shit.
It's delicious.
Well, back to
Nazis.
Yeah, back to Nazis. Not on the subject of fun alcoholic beverages that I would love to drink right now.
You know what? You'll be there so soon.
I know.
So soon, buddy.
Yeah.
And we're going to get so drunk together. And it's going to be
be
so
so nice.
fun.
Listeners, if you didn't know, I'm doing a little fitness challenge,
Mm-hmm.
and it involves not drinking.
Yeah.
And I'm jonesing for a little night, especially because it's getting like warmer
I
out.
know. And I'm like, I just want to
I want to
drink
go
a beer
out
with my friends.
I want to go lay in the sun and drink a little brewski. I want to
Yeah.
have one of those I always forget their name, like Lubensteimer.
Oh, the Leinenkugel?
Leinenkugel, yeah.
The lemon shandy.
Yes, those are so fucking
That's
good.
the beer of the summer. That's
It's
the beer
always,
of the
yeah,
summer.
Truly.
I will say the beer of the summer did used to be, I think it's Wasatch or Uinta makes Mango Cart.
Yeah, those
which
were
are
good. Those were good.
really, really good. But you know what? My tastes have changed, and the new beer, the new Remarks podcast official beer of the summer is Leinenkugel's Lemon Summer Shandy.
Yep.
It is so good.
We know that y'all come here for the beer Rex, primarily.
mean, it's kind of true.
I mean, probably, yeah.
It's kind of true.
Probably to a
I just
degree.
got a drink idea in my head. Here we go. Here's the official drink of the summer.
Okay.
Here's the official drink of when you guys get to come back and drink with us again.
Yes.
Leinenkugel's Summer Shandies. Pour that in a
Okay.
glass. Glub,
Yes.
glub, 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 glub.
Okay.
Lemonade, frozen.
Oh,
Pour that in a glass
shit.
with the Leinenkugel's. Glub, 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 glub,
Yeah.
glub. Shot of vodka on the top. One of those little tiny long spoons that they use to stir cocktails.
Yeah.
Mix it together. Straw.
Yeah.
Biodegradable straw.
Yeah. Umbrella, perhaps?
Umbrella, duh.
Umbrella in the little
Absolutely
beverage?
umbrella. And then one of those little drink markers that's like a really buff guy that like holds onto the edge of your cup.
Wearing like
is-
a Speedo.
Yep, is
Yeah.
on the edge of the cup.
Yep.
That's the drink of the fucking summer.
That's the fucking
slash
drink.
when you guys get off your fitness
Yes,
challenge and you get to drink with us again.
Absolutely.
That's what we're blasting the night away with, I think.
Holy shit, I'm so excited. Anyway, cannot wait. That first of all, did you just come up with that on the spot?
It just flew into my head.
That sounds delicious.
I should be a fucking bartender.
Yeah, dude, a fucking mixologist.
I'm a fucking mixologist. I'm a coctologist.
Ain't that the truth, brother?
Let me tell you, girl.
Yeah. Again, back to Nazis.
Yeah, anyway.
You know who didn't drink lemon beers? Probably Hitler. Yeah, I can imagine they didn't make those.
Probably not.
And he was probably too busy doing, like, meth, because
so much
Nazis
meth.
did a lot of meth, dude.
So much meth.
Which is crazy. Which, I mean, again, it kind of makes sense when you're, like, the amount of land that they traveled and, like, conquering they did. Like, they had to be on a ton of meth. Right?
You couldn't do it without.
Yeah, it's crucial. It's crucial.
It is crucial.
Yeah. The SA began to clash with the German military. Most of the brown shirts were World War I veterans and began to see themselves as the real German military, which, again, no comparisons to real life. Hitler made a agreement with the German military that the SA was to act as an auxiliary, in air quotes, as an auxiliary function to them, which frustrated the current leader of the SA, Ernst Röhm, who was like, nah, dude, we've been doing all the fucking shit for you. What do you mean we're got to be second fiddle to the military?
Right.
We've been in the streets fucking punching communists, getting punched by them. As the tensions rose, there was growing pressure from the party to remove Röhm, and Himmler and Heinrich actually falsified documents to incriminate Röhm as having received 12 million, I guess, francs rather than dollars. I wrote dollars here.
Right, but at the time,
12 million francs from France to overthrow Hitler. They used francs.
It was francs.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Another key factor with Röhm was that he was gay. Because of his loyalty to the party and being really good at organizing paramilitary groups, Hitler tolerated his homosexuality, being out in the open, until he didn't.
Yeah.
Röhm, having led the SA for so long, seems to have garnered a lot of support from other SA members, and this other faction kind of within the Nazi ranks was something that Hitler could not allow. So it was, Röhm was certainly like kind of building up to be, I don't know if I would say like another Hitler, but like kind of challenging Hitler's like authority and power. And, again, if you have an absolute dictator, can't have that.
Right.
So at 4:30, I should say, on June 30th, 1934, Hitler flew to Munich and executed the chief of Munich police, August Schneidhuber. This set off what would be called the Long Night of Knives. The Night of Long Knives is what I actually said. You're hearing things.
Yeah, you're crazy.
By 6 o'clock, Hitler arrives back in Weiss, I think is how you say it, Weiss, to begin the purge of SA leadership. Multiple men were murdered because of their connection to Röhm and the SA, and Hitler then arrived back in Munich later that night to give a speech. By 10 o'clock, execution squads were let loose to purge any other opponents of Hitler. This included SA members who would not realign, but also more moderate conservatives, as well as previously imprisoned communists and social democrats. Mm-hmm. We don't know the internal thoughts of Hitler, obviously, and why he chose to do the purge, but... And I mean, we kind of know, right? Like Röhm was, building power, but such like a large scale purge. But the SA, being primarily a group of men led by an openly gay man, seemed to draw a lot of homosexuality. And it is argued that this was like another reason for the purge. Hitler was also like, ew, gross, gay.
Right, yeah.
Get your gay off me. We know Hitler was homophobic, but whether or not it played a part in the purge, we don't know. Regardless of the reasoning, though, the SS, or the newer paramilitary group, used this moral superiority to justify the killings. Hitler's speech in Munich had him justifying the purge by stating that they were going to get rid of undisciplined and disobedient characters and asocial or diseased elements. Were kind of how he framed it, like, oh, this is... And it's like, it kind of goes back to that like weird, I don't know. It's like kind of a thought that I feel like was around the turn of the century people had about like homosexuality, where they were like, this is like a weakness within yourself kind of a thing.
Yes.
You're not strong enough to not be gay, I guess.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's an interesting.
Yeah. It was like, oh, it's like a disfigurement or like a disease.
A disease.
Within.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that language going on there. Then on July 13th, 1934, Hitler addressed the Reichstag and broadcasted this speech to the nation. If anyone reproaches me and asks why I did not resort to the regular courts of justice, then all I can say is this. In this hour, I was responsible for the fate of the German people, and thereby I became the supreme judge of the German people. I gave the order to shoot the ringleaders in this treason, and I further gave the order to cauterize down the raw flesh, down to the raw flesh, the ulcers of this poisoning of the wells in our domestic life.
Wow.
Let the nation know that its existence, which depends on its internal order and security, cannot be threatened with impunity by anyone. And let it be known for all time to come that if anyone raises his hand to strike the state, then certain death is his lot.
Shit.
Yeah. Which, like, Hitler was a charismatic speaker for sure. Rom, who was imprisoned, was given a pistol on that night and told to do it or they would.
Whoa.
Rom chose not to kill himself, so he was murdered by 2 SS guards in a prison cell.
Wow.
Hitler named Victor Lutz to replace Rom and ordered him to, and I quote, end homosexuality, debauchery, drunkenness, and high living in the SS. Which, again, kind of the same thing of, like, homosexuality is put up there with, like, debauchery and drunkenness.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Like, this idea that, like, you can't control yourself. You're just, like, so ravenous. I don't know.
It's like a behavior of perversion.
Yeah, it's a perversion, and, yeah. There is continued debate to how many people were killed in the Night of Long Knives, 10 to 100 being the estimation, which is a pretty big window.
Yeah.
But British historian Richard J. Evans claims that at least 85 people were killed and nearly 1,000 imprisoned. The number is unknown, but serves as a reminder of what a hostile government takeover can look like, and is also the conditions that lead to such an event. Again, thank goodness that nothing like that's happening now. Thank goodness that Rom isn't literally the poster child for, like, you know, cis white gay men being like, stand with Trump and twinks for Trump and fucking...
Exactly.
You know, this weird, like, turf shit and, like, all these, like, groups that are, like, just turning in on trans people all of a sudden that, like, are, you know, again, like, in a marginalized community of their own. It's like...
Right. When I think we saw something similar with Roy Cohn as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this weird, like... fuck you, got mine. I'm not weak like you.
Exactly. And, you know, here's this little spot in society that I can put myself where I think that I'm safe.
It's true.
You know, I can, like, disassociate myself with people that you find more degenerate or whatever, quote unquote. And in this little pocket of society, like, I think I'll be safe here. Even though at the end of the day, like, no, you're fucking not. And actually, they don't give a shit about you. And they still hate gay people, even if you're white and Republican. And you try to denounce trans people. And, you know, you try to appeal to whatever vision of what an acceptable gay person is supposed to look like. They don't give a fuck about you. And they, at the end of the day.
Yeah. They will put you in a prison cell and say, you do it or we will.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily feel bad for Rom. I mean, he was a Nazi.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
But I think that it's very telling that, you know, we're seeing this all over again. Like, it's very much a, you know, I think of like Peter Thiel is one of the ones I can think of, like a very prominent conservative, I mean, rich ass fucking like business owner, you know, corporation CEO, gay man who's like, like, fuck you, got mine. Like, I don't need, you know, and would a fascist takeover remove Peter Thiel? Maybe, I don't know. Like, it's possible, but I mean, he has enough money that maybe it wouldn't. But like, I think it's, you know, it's very clear that like, this, just because you say the right things, you're not going to be protected when shit actually comes down to it.
And it's this like turning against your own community when, you know, you reach a high enough level or you get enough power that like maybe people don't care as much that you're gay anymore. Where like, you know, somebody who's the exact same as Peter Thiel, except like doesn't have, you know, isn't a CEO and isn't all of these things, like would be killed or jailed or whatever it is, you know. But Peter Thiel doesn't get that because he has this like level of significance and this amount of money, and could be using that to like stand up for the rights of people who are part of his own fucking community, but he won't, because he's like, I have found my little patch of safety and like I am empowered now and I have all this money now, so I don't give a shit anymore. Yeah,
it's gay people can be evil too.
Yeah.
This just in, dude.
This just in.
Yeah, another brave remark.
I know, right?
Oh, yeah. But that's Finn. That's the Night of Long Knives. Nothing crazy, but again, kind of ominous in how close it hits to home. And I'm pretty sure that everything turned out okay. So yeah, maybe Phoebe will fill us in on that.
Yeah, you know,
for sure.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, like we've just been saying, and like you kind of were saying throughout your whole piece there, like it really does feel to me that the U.S. is following the Nazi playbook word for word. Yeah. You know, a country in economic turmoil elects a leader who pushes the idea of nationalism, claiming that they'll return the country back to its former glory. You know, you had the Weimar Republic where after World War I, Germany was in like terrible economic turmoil. Nobody was happy. You know, and so then because of this and because people are so unhappy, a specific group of people are singled out and blamed for all of the country's problems. Attacks on these groups begin in the form of passing increasingly more volatile laws. The leader becomes more powerful, more laws are passed, and things are overlooked, leaving many citizens to ask themselves, how can this be happening?
What is going on?
Yeah. And it's just... It really is like somebody cracked open a textbook to the World War II chapter, and they were like, we should just do everything exactly like it says right here. It worked
last time. Nobody reads these anyway.
Right. I've mentioned my trip to Berlin on the podcast before, and how visiting these multiple historical sites and museums that take you through the entire history of the Nazi takeover of Germany was bone-chillingly familiar. And that was when Biden was still president.
Yep.
And I just remember specifically being at one at the Berlin Wall that was like, took you from, I mean, I think maybe it was during the Weimar Republic. I don't think it was before. I think it was like maybe at the start of the Weimar Republic all the way to the Berlin Wall falling in 1991.
Yes.
Is that right? So it was like, and you were walking along like a crumbled piece of the Berlin Wall as you're reading all of these different plaques that sort of just taking you through like the entire history of like how Hitler rose to power, you know, what were the conditions of Germany beforehand, and then how all of this shit happened and also led to, you know, the Berlin Wall, obviously.
Yeah.
And I just was like, oh my fucking God, you got like, oh my God. And like, of course I already knew this, but it's just like reading it like piece for piece, like almost year for year. You're just like, they really truly are matching up almost word for word with the story of Nazi Germany.
It's literally, and it's one of those things. I feel like people constantly are like, you know, like how, because there's a lot of like historic debate of like how complacent were the German people in the Holocaust and whatnot. And it's like they were slowly, it's like we always say, like a frog in the boiling water. They just slowly, it just became normal. It just became more and more normal until, and you know, again, did every German know that there were death camps? Maybe not, but like they knew that it wasn't good for Jewish people to be there, and it just was like they just made it normal,
Right.
And I think it's happening with trans people.
Yeah.
It's
No,
just becoming
exactly.
normal that we are like, oh, America, don't be trans there.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
like-
Well, and it's like, I think too, like you were saying, the government has guns
Yeah.
and tanks, and now like drones that can fly to your house and blow you up.
Mm-hmm.
And I like am always trying to do what I can to like stop things from happening, but I mean, things are so out of our hands too. Is a part of this. Like,
Militarized
I
police
didn't
force.
vote for Trump,
Yeah.
and I know that there was plenty of Germans that didn't vote for Hitler, but when you follow the path that Hitler took, you're able to win over a nation.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that's what happened to our country too.
Yeah. It's, again, I feel crazy. I
Yeah, I
feel
really-
absolutely insane
Yeah.
all the time. I feel like
Yeah.
things are crumbling and
Yeah.
nobody fucking cares, dude. Like
Yeah.
nothing, and this is just, I'm going
Just
on
rant,
tangents
it's
here,
fine.
but like nothing is crazier to me and like makes me feel like I'm in more of a fucking dystopian society
Mm-hmm.
than like being on some social media app and seeing like a fucking, Instagram infographic about like the terrible things that are happening to trans people or like the war, the genocide in Gaza.
Yeah.
And like are all these like terrible things. And then like I scroll down one and it's like a Chewy ad. Or like I'm getting like these
Yeah.
ads for like insane shit and it's like, live your best life. And I'm like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? What do you mean that there's this like and it just capitalism stops for nothing and
Exactly.
it's like it makes me feel crazy because I'm like there's so much going on
Yeah.
and you're trying to sell me pretty litter right now.
Right,
Like,
right.
fuck off, dude.
For fuck's sake, Instagram.
Please.
Right. And it also, okay. I think another part of it that is so disheartening or frustrating is that, and you can compare this with Nazi Germany as well, is like these corporations that are just following like the
Always.
DEI bullshit, or actually the anti-DEI bullshit,
Yeah.
or, funding lobbying groups who are funding, money going to Israel, who are perhaps directly sending weapons to Israel, which I realize is like in weapon manufacturers' best interests. However, it's like these companies can look into the face of fascism and have the chance to say, nope, we're not going to donate to these lobbying groups. Nope, we're not going to follow these anti-DEI practices. Nope, we're not going to, support the Trump regime at all. But they do anyway. Once again, can really also tie that one to fucking Nazi Germany too. Shout out Volkswagen.
There's no like morality. Capitalism doesn't have a morality, right? Like, and not to say that like, I mean, it's a very flawed system. Obviously, we think so. But like they're going to do whatever they think will get them the most amount of money at any time. And that is what capitalism is.
Yes.
And I feel like this like weird facade that people have like this like wool people have pulled over their eyes where they're like, well, this company would never do this, or this billionaire is great. And this is, and this company had gay people in their commercial on Hulu.
Exactly.
And it's like, they're doing this because they are trying to get your money, and capitalism has no morals.
Yes.
Like,
it's like people seemed quite shocked when like Target, dropped their like DEI stuff. And I was like, yeah, of course they did. They're a gazillion dollar company.
Yeah,
what did you think would happen? Yeah, it blows. And yep, did they have a whole bunch of rainbows up everywhere for Pride and like a lesbian shirt? Sure.
They probably will this year too.
They probably fucking will because people spend money on that shit. They don't care. Like, it's just like how every company I need to get to the story. It's just like how every company had like a fucking post in 2020 talking about how Ben & Jerry's supports Black Lives Matter or how fucking Jiffy Lube supports Black Lives Matter. And now, like, where is any of that shit?
Yeah.
They just do what's profitable for them at the time.
They always. What, you fucking see Raytheon with a Twitter avatar that has a pride flag.
Exactly.
You see JP Morgan Bank has a pride flag. They were Nazis.
Exactly.
JP Morgan was a Nazi.
Yes. Yes.
Like, fuck off with this shit.
And it's just, it's like, it's so frustrating because like that's where things could actually like take a turn at all. Like that's like where actually like a gigantic impact could be made in fighting this fascist, but they are also fascists. So anyway, okay. Cool. I have to talk about stuff now. So one piece in particular about this, from this like Nazi playbook that America's very much picking up and digesting and reading that information, is the destruction of information and the banning of books. Last episode, I talked about the removal of many articles from the CDC website, and I think that all of us are aware of the big move to ban books in schools that's been going on for a while now. The books being banned, of course, are literature that has anything to do with sexual identity, gender identity, sex and sexuality, and racial identity, along with some other things as well. One of the Nazis' greatest weapons was propaganda. The Nazis produced films, published books, created radio programs, and published many, many newspapers that pushed their agenda. In fact, they were producing the most newspapers than any other European nation at the time. A quote from Ruth Andreas Friedrich, a German journalist and a resistance member, from September 29th, 1938 illustrates this. Quote, "Every day millions of pounds of printed paper go rolling out of this building, vomiting a torrent of National Socialist propaganda over mankind. And yet there's hardly one person under our roof who agrees with what he writes, sets, prints, edits, or carries from office to office." Which kind of matches up with what we were just saying, where it's like, you know, these huge publications had the chance to, well, not really the chance because there was obviously consequences, but, you know, they could have tried to push back on this, but
done something.
They have to make money. And I mean, also, they were going to get killed or jailed or things like that, which I'll talk about later. But a new arm of the government was created to oversee the media and ensure the propaganda kept flowing. The Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda took over radio, film, news, theater, and music. Good thing there's not new random branches of the government being created for no reason, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
In Nazi Germany?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good thing that there's not, like, you know, America's not doing... creating
doing
these,
that.
You know.
Same thing?
Yeah. So the Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda took over Jewish-owned publications and turned them into the hands of the Nazis. They had full control of what was allowed to be aired or published, and if a piece of media did not follow the Nazi rules of propaganda, the consequences would be losing your job or, worse, being imprisoned. One of the most famous of these papers was Der Stürmer, a viciously anti-Semitic tabloid that never attempted to hide or sugarcoat its anti-Semitism, like some of the other publications did, where I think they tried to perhaps be a little more digestible, maybe?
Yeah. And, you know, do you think that was, like, part of the, like, the staff that was there, like, not wanting to write these things, or was it, like... more of an aim at, like, centrists?
I think it was more of a centrist aim. Versus, you know, Der Stürmer just didn't really care to try to appeal to anybody
the info
except...
wars of its time.
Right, exactly. It claimed that Jews were performing ritual murders, committing sex crimes, and embezzling or stealing money. Once again, so familiar, isn't it?
Yeah.
Der Stürmer was juicy and gossipy and was able to spread propaganda even to people who didn't consider themselves part of the Nazi party. I think why Der Stürmer ended up being popular even amongst people who, like, didn't really agree with, like, Nazi propaganda, I think it was, like, tabloidy.
Yeah.
And so people love shit like that. I love shit like that. And so I think that's why it sort of caught on even with people who weren't, which is obviously, like, horrendously dangerous, right?
Yeah.
Because this is, like, straight up, like, Jews are freaking evil rats, you know? Like, it's, like, being straight up anti-Semitic.
Well, that's like, I mean, you would probably see this, like, I guess as a good, like, modern day comparison. Like, that's like what at least half of what, like, X and Facebook are now is
Exactly.
like clickbaity fucking, like, titled articles and stuff where it's just like, you know, they're made for headlines and then they don't say anything. And then you look it up and you're like, oh, this was literally just lying about everything.
Right.
I said.
It's like transgender people are murdering everyone.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh my God.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I mean, it's like, it's salacious. So it's exciting.
Yeah.
Not only was the propaganda pushing an anti-Semitic angle, it was also pushing an unwavering pro-Hitler agenda. News, films, and publications painted Hitler as a hero sent to save Germany. He was seen as a messiah type, the only one who could bring Germany back to greatness.
Oh, God, dude.
Again, ain't it familiar?
Ugh. Literally, like, those pictures of, like, those, like, AI art memes of fucking, like, Jesus with his hand on Donald Trump's shoulder and shit. Like,
yeah.
It's, oh, my God, yeah.
I mean, there's literally,
Messiah.
like, cults that,
yeah.
like, fucking QAnon literally is, like...
Is, like, a cult for...
Yeah.
Trump, yeah.
And that, like, I don't know, all of these weird, like, 5D people that are like, oh, Trump is literally a prophet. He's a messiah. Like, they say that. They have literally said Trump is a messiah sent from God. They believe that he is, like,
so weird.
A fucking...
And how... We've talked about this so many times, but I'm like, how do you justify that as, like, again, like, you know, like, new wave spiritualist? Like, not that, like, hippies have ever been, like, really that progressive, you know?
Sure.
Like, if you look back at fucking, like, the hippie movement, like, yeah, they were like, let's smoke drugs and fuck our parents, like, or, you know, fuck the system.
Right.
I should clarify.
Right.
But, like, you know, you could still, like, get beat up for being gay around a bunch of hippies, you know? Like, they weren't that progressive.
Yeah.
And I know that they've never been, but, like, it's just, like, the disconnect is crazy
I
in
know.
my eyes. I'm like, what do you mean? You're, like, rock bitch and you're like then saying Donald Trump's a prophet. Okay,
exactly.
Like,
also, like, aren't you guys not supposed to believe in Jesus? Like, isn't that
isn't that like the whole thing? I don't know.
Fucking
whatever, dude.
Anyway, Josef Goebbels, the propaganda chief for the Nazis, published the popular newspaper Der Angriff. This paper was one of the main sources that led to what is called the Hitler myth, or the Führer myth. This paper portrayed Hitler as an everyman. He was the brave soldier that had fought in World War I. He was a working-class hard worker. He was a genius. He was possibly even superhuman, and he should be deified. Yeah, I know. It's hard. It's so painful.
I'm screaming.
Literally screaming. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
At the before.
I'm going to stop you every 30 seconds if I keep screaming.
I also, yeah.
Yeah.
Before we got on air, Taylor was like, so how did you feel doing your research? And I'm like, bad.
Really bad.
Really
actually.
Bad and afraid for our current situation.
Yeah, not great about it.
I feel like I'm just reading the book of what's happening right now.
Yeah,
actually.
no, you could like change the names and this would be like, oh yeah, this is
like,
America.
Oh, right.
Yeah, no, that's what's happening.
According to Goebbels, as published in Der Angriff, quote, Hitler is the greater German, the Führer, the prophet, the fighter that last hope of the masses, the shining symbol of the German will to freedom. The Black List, which was created in spring of 1933, known in Germany as Die Schwarzliste, began as a list of authors created by the Nazi librarian Wolfgang Hermann. This list was of authors he deemed un-German, and was sent out to libraries throughout Germany to aid in purging of libraries of any of these texts.
Yep.
The blacklist eventually expanded to include artists, composers, filmmakers, and philosophers. Impressionism, Cubism, and Expressionism were all considered degenerate art.
Yeah, yeah, that's like a huge thing with fascists is like their hatred of like modern art and stuff.
Yes.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that is like I've like read articles and like seen essays about like how conservatives are like anti new art and stuff.
Yeah, and it was like anything sort of breaking the mold of like the rules of art kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It was definitely an interesting like piece of this.
Yeah.
So any pieces under this category of degenerate art were banned in Germany and sometimes even destroyed, which is so devastating.
Yeah.
Devastating.
My gosh. I bet there was beautiful art that was just fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a break and Google some art.
Google art. You know what won't destroy your
Yeah.
art and doesn't think art is degenerate. Yeah. This break.
Taking a break.
Taking a little break. Taking a little break to cry and scream.
Yes.
And then maybe get another Spindrift because
Yeah.
I drank all of mine.
Definitely.
And it was delicious. It was raspberry flavored.
Oh, so
listeners.
good. So good.
We've been on the Spindrift game, but like listeners, if you have not had a Spindrift,
It's the
do
best.
yourself a fucking favor.
Yeah.
And go purchase one.
It's the best of the sparkling waters.
It's gotta be.
Certainly. I do love a Topo Chico twist of lime, but Topo Chico is aggressively bubbly,
Yeah.
which I love, but
Some may not.
some may not. And also Spindrift has like 1,000 different flavors and
That's true.
every one of them bangs.
That's true. They all bang for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not a grapefruit connoisseur by any means. So I will avoid grapefruit things, but I've had a grapefruit Spindrift.
They're
not
good.
the worst grapefruit thing I've had.
Yeah.
So it's good.
They're tasty.
Truly.
Anyway,
Break.
sadness.
We are back, and we're talking circumcision. We're talking about circumcision and how painful it would be to have that done as an adult.
Yeah.
And I'm still mad that it was forced upon me as a child.
As you should be.
And, I didn't ask for that. I didn't.
No.
And you lose like 25% of the sensation
It's true.
of your fucking shaft from that. And it's like, it makes sense. It's protected as God intended.
Yes.
God intended you to fuck and to have the full sensation and to not have it just exposed to the elements.
I mean, literally.
Yeah.
Literally. Let people have their fucking foreskins.
Bring back foreskins,
It is
dude.
so crazy. It's so crazy that we do this.
Yeah. And like, and no shade, I if it's like a religious thing for Jewish people, like, go ahead. But
Right.
I still feel like you shouldn't make kids do it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't
Yeah.
force it upon children.
A literal baby.
And I feel that way about everything. Like,
Yeah.
the other day, someone was asking me if I thought, like, what my thoughts were like on getting their young child's ears pierced.
Oh, sure.
And I was like, I feel like you can have them wait till they're like 10 and they can say, yes, I want to get my ears pierced.
Right.
And, and like prepare them for it. And like, they'll probably want to because they'll be like, oh yeah, earrings are cool.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Like, I was 10 when my parents were like, yeah, do you want your ears pierced? And I was like, yeah, it sounds cool.
Oh, that's sweet. That's cute. I didn't know that was, I thought it was something that like you went and did. I didn't know that it was like your parents being like, Taylor, would you like your ears pierced?
Yeah, I mean, I think I brought it up to them, but they were like, yeah, you can get your ears. Because weirdly enough too, because like my dad is not like, he's like a relatively traditional kind of guy, I guess.
Right,
but he
right.
had his ears pierced, interestingly enough.
Oh, I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Or had at least one of them pierced.
Interesting.
It was the left because,
Not gay.
Not gay.
Right. Yeah.
But like, yeah.
Did you know I've never met your father, by the way?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Never have, weirdly enough.
Do you want to? I don't know. It's not a crazy story about my dad, but I get a call from my dad on Sunday. Ian and I are doing laundry. I'm like at the laundromat, and I'm like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be in town." And I'm like, "When?"
Okay.
And he's like, "I fly in on Tuesday." And I'm like, "That's cool. Okay, do you want to do something?" And he's like, "Yeah, can you pick me up from the airport?"
Oh my God.
And I was like, "Sure, I'll come and get you from the airport." Whatever.
He's like,
and
you're like, do you want to do something? He's like, yeah, I have a great activity for us to do. You pick me up from the airport.
And I'm like, all right, chill. Yeah, I'll come and get you. And he's like, cool, I'll send you my flight details and whatnot. And I was like, all right, cool. Then we just chat about whatever. And proceeds to not send me anything.
Oh my God.
I texted him and was like, you going to send me those? Because, like, I don't know when your flight is
Yeah,
in.
like, I would like to know.
And we'll see if he does.
Oh my God.
Oh, maybe actually, I think right before I came here, maybe he did text me back.
Oh, okay.
So I think I will be picking my father up from the airport on Tuesday.
You know what?
But...
Tune in in a few weeks to find out. Did Taylor pick up Taylor's dad from the airport?
It's dads, man.
Dads.
Parents in general
bad at
are
communicating.
Fun when they start to get older, I feel, because it's like you kind of become the parent, you know?
Yes.
And it's an interesting feeling to be like, hopefully my dad gets home safe.
Right, exactly.
It's an odd experience for sure. Anyway.
Oh boy.
Back to, you know whose dad always got home safe? Hitler. I don't know the story of Hitler's birth, actually, so I don't know. But
I know that, like, I listened to a podcast about it, but I don't have that information retained.
Like,
I will
right
say.
off the top, yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing that he was like a turn of the century German man, I can only imagine he was incredibly cruel.
Yeah.
Because that seemed to be a very big theme.
Yeah, they loved that.
They loved cruelty.
Beating their children.
favorite activity was just slapping them around.
Yeah, really was.
Yeah.
So as I was saying before the break, degenerate art pieces, they were destroyed. The works of Picasso, Monet, and Van Gogh were erased from German media and destroyed in German art museums. Authors like Brecht, Heinrich Heine, and H.G. Wells were banned. The science of Albert Einstein, Niels Bohr, and Sigmund Freud were removed from any curriculum, and any books with mention of them were removed from all libraries. Works of Friedrich Engels and Karl Marx, of course, were removed from the public eye.
Yeah.
Anything that was determined anti-German, antisocial, Jewish, or dangerous for the public was collected, removed, and eventually destroyed.
Yeah.
A massive part of the purging was anything having to do with sex or sexuality. The Nazi Party was deeply anti-homosexual. They considered homosexuals to be depraved, sick in the head, and a danger to society, as you had kind of said earlier, Taylor. One of the pieces of LGBTQ culture destroyed in the purge was the Institute of Sexology. The institute was founded in 1919 by Magnus Hirschfeld. Magnus was a proud Jewish gay man who was outspoken about the rights of gays, transgender people, and women, something that even before the Nazi regime was a pretty bold stance to take.
Yeah.
The institute was where revolutionary research on transgender health, care for gay patients, and focus on women's health took place. The institute would take patients of the LGBTQ community as well as women and would often even see them for free. It was known internationally and, despite ideals at the time, was still fairly highly regarded. I might mention this later, but I can't remember if I do, so I want to mention it now. A big part of like the women's healthcare that they were doing there was contraception and abortions and things like that, so obviously that was largely frowned upon.
Yeah.
And just like general like figuring out what the fuck's going on inside the vagina type shit.
Where is the clitoris?
Exactly. And like, oh, women should like have orgasms probably.
Literally, it was the first guy to be like, maybe we should figure that out. Like,
right.
They seem to not be having a good time.
Maybe women could enjoy sex.
Like this seems way better for me than for them. Maybe we should figure out why. I also love the name sexology. It just
so good.
It sounds like what I would have named something when I was like a middle schooler. You know?
Yes.
Like I was like what I would have thought a gynecologist was titled
Yeah,
as,
like
as like an 8th grader.
yeah, like, oh, they went to sexology school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, literally, like some Chad fucking like, I majored in sexology.
That's
dude.
exactly it. Like, there's some like gimmicky shirt that you buy at the beach that's like,
Yeah.
I majored in sexology.
And minored in fucking
Drinking beer.
the clitoris. I don't know.
On May 6th, 1933, the Institute of Sexology was broken into and raided by a group of Nazi youth known as the German Student Union. The institute contained works by many authors on the blacklist, which were promptly destroyed or gathered to be destroyed in a public spectacle several days later. And this is a quote from one of the articles that I read, of which I can't remember which article it came from. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, one estimate says that between 12,000 to 20,000 books and journals and an even larger number of images and sex subjects were destroyed. Another estimate says that about 25,000 books were destroyed. During this raid, rare medical work, including documents, charts, and articles about intersexuality, were destroyed. These works were to be presented at the International Medical Congress, which is an international scientific conference held where scientists and doctors from all over the world would gather and share their medical discoveries. This conference was integral in the advancement of medical knowledge and technology. The destruction of these works and other works kept at the Institute set back medical knowledge and advancement of transgender and intersex healthcare, women's healthcare, particularly contraception, and healthcare specifically pertaining to gays and lesbians by decades. The impact can be felt to this day.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it would not be surprising to me if I went out on the street and there were like 80% of the people that I would run into didn't know that intersex is a thing that happens in nature naturally. Mm-hmm. Like, it's crazy that like it's still to this day like that research is so valuable, but like no one knows about it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Like it was like, I mean, the Institute of Sexology was like one of the largest, LGBTQ medical organizations at the time, and was like making major, I mean, we've talked about this, like the Nazis destroyed a ton of, like medical science and medical documents about transgender health, about like gay health, about, and we could have been so much further along in this journey of, accepting transgender people, helping intersex people navigate. And that was all destroyed. And so then we had to sort of like restart and rediscover things. And then, of course, there's also been a million other setbacks to all of this.
Yes.
Uncovered in these raids was also a list of names and addresses of supporters of the Institute or of members of the LGBTQ community. The seizure of this list led to the deaths of many gay men in the following months. And that actually was part of, as you were talking about, that was a part of the Night of the Long Knives, was like a bunch of gay men were murdered. And it's believed that a lot of them were found out because of this list that was seized in this.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Magnus Hirschfeld was in Paris at the time of the raid, and he found out about the destruction of his life's work during a news report at a cinema that he was attending. Hirschfeld attempted to rebuild his institute in Paris, but was unable to keep it alive. Many of the artifacts, documents, and books gathered from the institute were brought to Bebelplatz Square in Berlin to be burned as a public display of what Germany's future was going to look like. Marginalized groups beware. Advancement in science, knowledge, and community was to stand no chance. The new Germany was a Germany that valued only the Führer, the growth of Germany, and the compliance of its citizens. On May 10th, 1933, German student unions throughout 34 universities across Germany gathered in a night of protest against books that they had deemed un-German. Prior to this night, on April 8th, 1933, the main office for press and propaganda for the German student unions called for a day of action against un-German literature. This would lead to the widespread book burning on May 10th. Students were to gather up the illegal literature to be burned in what they were calling a purifying or a cleansing fire. The largest demonstration on May 10th was at the Bebelplatz Square in Berlin. This is where most of the materials from Hirschfeld's Institute of Sexology were brought to be destroyed, along with books, documents, and materials from other libraries, bookstores, and universities. Around 40,000 people were gathered to watch the destruction in Berlin of important historical, scientific, and philosophical works. A brass band played over the sound of the crackling flames. Joseph Goebbels addressed the crowd, quote, "No to decadence and moral corruption. Yes to decency and morality in family and state. I consign to the flames the writings of Heinrich Mann, Ernst Gleise, and Erich Kästner. The era of extreme Jewish intellectualism is now at an end. The breakthrough of the German Revolution has again cleared the way on the German path. The future German man will not just be a man of books, but a man of character. It is to this end that we want to educate you, as a young person, to already have the courage to face the pitiless glare, to overcome the fear of death, and to regain respect for death. This is the task of the young generation, and thus you do well in this midnight hour to commit to the flames the evil spirit of the past. This is a strong, great, and symbolic deed, a deed which should document the following for the world to know. Here, the intellectual foundation of the November Republic is sinking to the ground, but from this wreckage, the phoenix of a new spirit will triumphantly rise."
Yeah, and they fucking love to make themselves seem like they're, like, fighting this, like, good fight against whatever thing they think is evil. Like, because I feel like you see, it's like now, it's like, stand up against the mental illness of the left and this
They're
and
attacking
that.
family
They're
values.
attacking family values. It's always that. It's always fucking, yeah.
Which, I mean, it's this right here. No to decadence and moral corruption. I mean, that's like same rhetoric that's being used now. And then he says yes to decency and morality and family and the state. This make America great again.
Yeah.
Oh, the family is under attack. Oh, the American dream is under attack. You know, the left wants us all to be getting transgender operations from illegal aliens.
Yeah, no, for sure.
At the top of the pile was a bronze bust of Magnus Hirschfeld. The bust remained intact after the flames died, and a street cleaner working the following morning saved the bust and stored it away in secret. After the end of World War II, it was donated to the Berlin Academy of Arts. Across Germany, other student unions held their own burnings and led torchlit marches in the streets. In the end, over 25,000 books were burned, along with countless other documents and artifacts. Heinrich Heine, who was among the authors who had their works burned, famously responded, quote, "Where they burn books, they will also ultimately burn people."
Yikes.
Yeah.
Good call, man.
Yeah.
Good fucking play.
Helen Keller, who had her works burned as well, wrote an open letter to the German students, quote, "History has taught you nothing if you think you can kill ideas. Tyrants have tried to do that often before, and the ideas have risen up in their might and destroyed them. You could burn my books and the books of the best minds in Europe, but the ideas in them have seeped through a million channels and will continue to quicken other minds." In response to the burnings, 100,000 people gathered in New York City to protest, along with other demonstrations in Philadelphia, Chicago, and St. Louis. American media reported on the events, calling it a Holocaust of books. One reporter, Walter Lippmann, who worked for the New York Herald Tribune, saw the book burnings as a sign of what was to come in Germany and saw them as a bigger picture of the direction of the German government. Quote, "These acts symbolize the moral and intellectual character of the Nazi regime. For these bonfires are not the work of schoolboys or mobs, but of the present German government. The ominous symbolism of this act and these bonfires is that there is a government in Germany which means to teach its people that their salvation lies in violence."
Yeah.
Much as Heinrich Heine had said, these book burnings were indicative of the dark and genocidal future of Germany. Several years later, Jews would be rounded up and taken to labor camps and death camps, and ultimately would culminate in the death of 6 million Jews.
Yeah.
All of this being said, I guess, I don't even want to say let this be a lesson, but perhaps I wish this had been a lesson.
Yeah.
I guess it is a
No
lesson,
one
and
learns
they're
anything.
just doing the lesson. It was a lesson, and they said that was a great one, and we're
They're
going
like,
to do it again.
Yeah, no, that was sick. We should do that again.
Yeah. But it just it's
haunting.
It's haunting, and it's the same rhetoric time and time again. I mean, almost to the T here, where, like, you know, a lot of the arguments against like gay people and transgender people are like exactly what they're saying now. The destruction of, you know, these works that are deemed like about gender identity and sexual identity and sexuality is exactly what they're removing from schools now and possibly ultimately destroying. I mean, I heard from a friend of mine who works in education that like that was part of, or like a proposed part of the bill was that like you should, if these books are banned, they should be destroyed via burning. Which it's like,
yeah, could you be more on the nose? Like, what the fuck?
Right.
Like,
yeah, it's
God,
like that's a little too
Fahrenheit 451 ass. Like,
right. Like you can't be a little more subtle about
yeah.
it. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it really feels chilling that I feel like we're on this path, like, again, almost like word for word.
Yeah, it's so strange because it's like, yeah, like the words are modern and like we live in the modern age, but like, I mean, you know, it's like we've been saying this whole time, like nobody learns anything from history, and,
right?
Or if they do, it's the wrong lesson,
right?
And they're gonna do it again, and
yeah,
you know, if nothing else, let it be a lesson that like, I suppose that like people kind of just let it happen, you know,
yeah.
like. Yeah, there was protests. Yeah, people were like trying to not, but like, you know, again, put your little like bickering leftist arguments aside and like, let's like, you know, feed people and try to not, you know, provide safe places for people. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say that like, you know, one definitive like this would have stopped it, but
right.
You know, it's like at least we can look back and be like, what could we do differently, I guess.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, that's bleak.
Extremely bleak.
We have a good time on this
I
podcast.
know. I always leave feeling good, feeling happy. Yeah, I mean, I don't feel good. I feel really awful,
really bad.
And I feel so worried, and I feel so upset and afraid, and I feel I'm
afraid for my friends. I'm afraid for myself.
Yeah.
I'm afraid for every other queer person that exists. Like, you know, it's pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
On a lighter note, I watched this new, I guess, remake version of Fahrenheit 451 that had Michael B. Jordan in it.
Oh.
Yeah.
What? When
but
was
honestly,
that made?
I don't know. I think it was like 2023 or something.
Oh my gosh, I never heard of this.
Yeah. But honestly, it was like modernized and it wasn't as good. It was like made all like high techy, you know?
Oh, gross.
Like high tech dystopian rather than like, because the original book was written in like 1947 or something like that. I'll
tell you right now because I just 1953.
Yeah.
Which like it also was because it was set in the future. Obviously, there was like technology in it.
Yeah, like
but
stuff.
I feel like you don't have to like make it.
Yeah.
Overly.
It
whatever.
got real different. I don't know, like.
Oh, this was made in 2018. I literally never ever heard of this.
Yeah, I just like randomly saw it on like Hulu or something, and I was like, oh, I really liked that book. You know, when I read it in high school.
Yeah.
So like, I'll watch this, and I don't know. I mean, maybe not worth the watch, but read the book for sure if you have a chance.
Book.
It's wonderful. But anyway, sorry, that was just a little side.
No, I like it. I
your
like it.
Book burning got me thinking of.
Yeah.
Ended on a little positive note.
We love Ray Bradbury. Shout out Ray Bradbury.
Listeners, another thing, my wallpaper on my computer is two gay cowboys.
Oh,
and that's nice.
I really like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That makes me feel better.
I love a gay cowboy.
Love a gay cowboy.
And you know what? I was thinking about this the other day too, and again, sorry to derail us from the topic at hand, but
it's okay.
I wanted to leave with a little bit of a brighter note.
We talked about it. We got it out.
Yeah,
let's.
But I'm happy that cowboys
nice
can be gay again, dude.
Yeah.
So I feel like for all of history, cowboys always gay. Like
Yes.
everybody just kind of knew, like if you're a cowboy, you're at least bi.
Kind of gay.
You're
Yeah.
kind of gay, dude. You're riding horses with a bunch of dudes all day. Like, yeah, you're fucking gay.
That's gay.
And then like September 11th, 2001 hit. Cowboys couldn't be gay anymore.
Right.
And now we're finally back to cowboys being gay. And
Yeah.
I'm fucking juiced about it, dude.
Yeah.
And we've come a long way with gay cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not let Donald Trump retract that,
Yeah.
dude. Let cowboys
Yeah.
be gay.
Yes. For fuck's sake.
For fuck's sake, dude. Anyway. It's a lot,
It is a lot.
but hug your animals. And,
Support your neighbors.
yeah.
I've said it once, I'll say it again. Reach out to your neighbors. Like, even if you live in an apartment, knock on your little neighbor's door and bring them a little batch of cookies or whatever and be like, hey, I live right here. What up?
Sure.
I'm your pal if you ever need anything. LMK.
The society wants to isolate you. It's the
Yes.
literal American way to
Yes.
isolate you and keep you in your own little box to purchase things on your phone and never leave the house. And that's, I feel like, a small way that you can even, I don't know, maybe fight back isn't the right word, but resist is just like be a community.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. Go to community
nice.
events. There's this is silly, but there's a free I think it's this Saturday. Hold on, I'm actually
Is
going.
it the art show or the fashion show?
That's on Friday.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Actually, let me talk about two things.
There's a couple of things coming
Yeah.
up, baby.
Let me just fact check, or not fact check, but let me like get the correct information
Deets.
right here about these couple of things. If you're a Salt Lake local, here's cool things that you can do. Utah Art Alliance is putting on a show on March 28th, this Friday. That's a Fashion Through the Decades show. And it's like, yeah, it's Utah local designers.
Yeah.
There's like
Shout out Chloe.
our friend Chloe. We love you.
We love you.
Yeah, there's going to be cool stuff there. So that's a fun little local thing to go to. And then another thing I saw that my friend Riley posted, shout out my friend Riley. There it is. Let me see. Where did she put this?
It's okay.
Here it is. Found it. Okay. In Mill Creek this Saturday, the 29th, at Mark Miller Subaru, there is going to be a wiener dog race.
Oh, dude, hell yeah.
And it is free to attend.
A wiener dog race.
And it's free to enter, too, if you have a wiener dog.
Oh, I want.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I miss my. I grew up with 2 wiener dogs.
You did?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I know.
Aww.
They're so cute. Anyway.
So yeah, that's something to do this weekend. That is a free community event, and you know what? What a fun, cute, adorable way to connect.
I
with
say
your
we
community.
fucking go, dude. Let's fucking wiener dog.
I would
watch some wiener dogs.
Love to. I think I'm working all day, but because I think it's from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock.
Oh.
But please go.
Yeah.
Please go and take video for me because
Yes.
this sounds like the greatest thing in the whole world.
It's yeah, and I love wiener dogs are so cute.
I love
oh my
them
gosh.
so much.
They're so cute.
I went out to, here's another quick positive story, and then we'll get out of here. On Sunday, me and Maddie and his friend went and just walked around Liberty Park because it was so
Gorgeous.
fucking warm in Salt Lake City. It was so nice out. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful day. So we took the dogs out, and there were so many wiener dogs. There was like
Aw.
a lot of wiener dogs out and about at Liberty
Cute.
Park. So that was really nice.
Love wiener dog. Wiener dogs and corgis, dude.
Oh,
Every time
I
I see
love-
one, I'm like, oh,
I love weird little short,
little-
nubby-legged
yeah.
dogs. I'm like, your
your body's
little
so
freak.
disproportionate.
I know. Or those little munchkin cats
Yeah,
with the
I
short
know.
legs.
Oh
Oh.
my gosh. Anyway,
Anyway,
we gotta go. But
Yeah.
pluggables, twitter.com or X at remarkspod is the at.
on Instagram at Remarks Podcast.
On Patreon, it is just Remarks Podcast, I believe. You can find us,
find
get
us
some
on there.
bony ups, get a little bit more uplifting
Yeah,
episode.
funny,
That's
lighter
not so us
stuff.
being concerned about the future of the nation.
Yeah.
And you can find my personal Instagram at tlace_19. And I also make music that you can listen to. And I have a new album dropping on April 15th.
I know! I'm
So
so excited. I'm
Yeah.
so excited.
Thank you.
I'm so excited. Yeah, be sure to fucking stream that album. And I guess you can follow me on xtheeverythingapp.com at Phoebe's Elise. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm funny-ish on there.
Why do they call it that? The Everything app. Why did they rebrand it to that?
Think because Elon Musk was like, well, because I think he was like, oh, I want X to be like the premier like news source, which is crazy.
That's insane, dude.
That's such a bad idea because it's not a good accurate news source at all. And then I think there's also like a crypto thing on there, or he wanted it to become like some sort of like money transferring, or maybe that is an option now. I don't know.
That, dude.
And then there's Grok. You can Grok things now, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never grokked anything in my entire life, and I plan not to grok a thing.
I do enjoy, because there is like a little trend of like chess influencers playing like chatbots in chess, and the chatbots will just like make pieces like disappear and come out of nowhere, and it is pretty funny. And if that was all that AI was used for, I'd be so on board with it. But alas, it is not. So
I remember when we first had AI, and I was just making like I was going into, I can't even remember what the first little one was.
Like the image one,
and I typed in like Karl Marx at a drag show.
Yeah,
and it made these like really fucked up, really bad, like not very well put together images, and you're just like, that's silly.
This is so silly.
And now it's like I open up, X the Everything app, and it's like a photo of Joe Biden eating a baby, and it actually looks so real that I have to do a double take because it's unbelievably real.
Yeah, we've maybe gone too far.
Society never stopped to think.
And it's like the thing with AI that's so funny to me is it's like part of the AI marketing is like, and not to get into a whole AI conversation, but part of the AI marketing is like, get this so that you can be so much more productive and you can get so much more work done. And then the other part of it is like, never have to do anything ever again. Have an AI do it for you. Right. And it's like, so you want me to work harder with AI, or do you want me to not ever have to work again?
Right.
Like, why are you you're selling me two opposing ideas.
Yup.
I don't, it's silly. It's dumb, but.
Yeah. And it's also like, I think I've said it on the podcast before, like, I don't really give a fuck if people at their like email job want to use AI to like phrase things. Whatever, that's fine. Go off, queen.
Whatever.
Get that bag. Or like somebody was saying like, oh, I use AI I like type in stuff that I have at my house and say like, help me, like food that I have at my house, and say like, help me put a recipe together from this. Sure. And then does. I'm like, whatever, sure. Fine. If that's like all that it was. But then now it's like AI is being advertised to me as like, make music with this. Yeah. Make songs with AI.
I hate those ones. I'm like, no.
That's not the fucking point of making music.
It's so crazy because I'm like, what do you mean? I can just make us like the amount of like blood, sweat, and tears that go into making art. And then you're going to be like, you're going to trivialize it to like, download this fuck ass app and make a hit song. Like, fuck off,
or it's like,
dude.
Just like, the point of art is like trying it and having a fun time with it. Yeah, also,
literally.
Like
your experience while you're doing it.
Exactly. Like, if I want to make a song, then I'll open up what is the Pro Tools or whatever.
GarageBand on the.
Yeah, I'll open up GarageBand and I'll dick around on GarageBand and like try to figure out how that works because it's fun to learn how to use something. Yeah. Or I'll pull out a guitar and I'll learn how to use a guitar, and maybe I'll pay a guitar teacher to teach me how to play a guitar. Or if I want to be a painter, or I want to like have something drawn, perhaps I will put pen to paper, and maybe it won't be very good, or whatever. That's objective, so it doesn't, or it's subjective, so it doesn't matter. But like maybe it's just fun to like try to draw something, because that's what being a person and a human being is like That's what art is. That's why that's what makes it cool and special and different from like mostly anything else we have in this entire fucking world, is that it's like, it's something that you do and you create with your own hands, your own brain, and your own fucking heart and soul. And you don't let a stupid, shitty robot computer do it for you.
Yeah.
I hate AI needs to be eradicated.
Yeah, I fucking hate it. But,
Anyway.
You know what I don't hate?
Woo!
All of our listeners.
Yeah.
We love you.
We love you guys. Thanks for listening. Okay, love you. Bye.